Imagine standing on the biggest stage in basketball history, and no matter what you do, someone outshines you, humbles you, and leaves you feeling almost personal fury. That was the world of Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, a man celebrated for his grace on the court, his legendary footwork, and his unmatched defensive instincts. Yet behind the calm, calculated exterior lurked a fire, an intensity reserved for certain players who dared to cross him. Today, we're diving into the top 6 players Hakeem Olajuwon hated the most. Not just rivals he respected, but ones who sparked frustration, heated battles, and unforgettable clashes on the court.
Olajuwon throws a
From MVP snubs to fierce playoff showdowns, these 6 names reveal the side of Hakeem few ever saw. A side fueled by obsession, pride, and a drive to dominate. And just when you think the story couldn't get any more intense, wait until you hear the final rival on this countdown. We start our countdown at number 6 with Mitch Kupchak. Now, you might be wondering, Mitch Kupchak, the Lakers front office legend? Today, most fans know him as a GM who built championship-winning teams. But back in the 1980s and early 1990s, Kupchak was more than an executive. He was a physical presence on the court, a player capable of testing even the toughest opponents. For Hakeem Olajuwon, one particular game would etch Kupchak into a special category: players who could get under the Dream's skin. It all took place during a Houston Rockets-Los Angeles Lakers Conference Finals matchup. Hakeem had been unstoppable, dominating with points, rebounds, and blocks while controlling the game's pace with unmatched precision. But Coach Pat Riley, known for his strategic brilliance, had a plan. Rather than trying to outscore Hakeem, the Lakers aimed to provoke him physically, to push him, disrupt his rhythm, and perhaps force mistakes. Kupchak, with his size, strength, and aggressive style, became the perfect tool for this plan. His mission was clear: rattle Hakeem. Legal but relentless contact, constant jabs in the post, and aggressive brushes tested the Dream in ways few players dared. Fans could feel the tension in the arena. Every pivot, spin, and fadeaway by Hakeem became a statement of dominance, a demonstration of control in the face of provocation. The conflict came to a head in Game 5. The physicality escalated, tempers flared, and in a rare moment, both Olajuwon and Kupchak were ejected. For Hakeem, a player defined by calm, precision, and grace, this was unusual. Reflecting later, he said, "I don't mind people being physical, but this guy had no intentions of playing defense. He was just too rough. So, if that was the game plan, it worked perfectly. I got kicked out." While seemingly minor in NBA history, the incident was pivotal. It revealed a subtle, simmering dislike between Hakeem and Kupchak, showing that even a composed star like the Dream had limits. For fans, every block, pivot, and spin move became a testament to Hakeem's skill and control, a reminder that even under intense provocation, he could dominate. Kupchak's relentless tactics earned him a permanent spot on this list, proof that some rivalries are built not just on competition, but on testing the patience of legends. At 5th place, we encounter someone closer to home, Vernon Maxwell. You see, hatred isn't always reserved for opponents. Sometimes it simmers right inside your own locker room. Vernon Maxwell, famously nicknamed Mad Max, was a player defined by his fiery temperament. His energy, aggression, and relentless drive made him a key asset for the Houston Rockets. But it also meant he frequently tested the patience of everyone around him, even the most disciplined teammate. The tension between Maxwell and Hakeem Olajuwon came to a head during a 1993 regular season clash against the Seattle Supersonics. The game was physical, fast-paced, and charged with competitive intensity. Maxwell, known for his outspoken nature, let his frustration get the better of him and began acting out on the court. It was at this point that Hakeem, the Dream, stepped in, not with words alone, but with action. Maxwell would later recount the incident, saying, "Dream man, I shouldn't have said that because he came in and put his goddamn big old hands on me. He slapped the shit out of me."
I said, "God damn, this motherfucker slapped the shit out of me."
This wasn't a reckless, uncontrolled act of violence. It was a measured demonstration of authority. Hakeem's slap wasn't about personal animosity. It was a declaration. Chaos would not be tolerated, and excellence was non-negotiable. Within the Rockets' locker room, these intense moments were part of a strict, unspoken hierarchy that demanded focus and discipline. Maxwell's fiery streak and Hakeem's unshakable demand for professionalism collided, producing a clash that revealed the tension behind the team's championship-caliber performance. What makes this dynamic particularly fascinating is the duality it represents. While Maxwell thrived on raw energy and emotional fire, Hakeem embodied precision, control, and strategic thinking, both on the court and off. Their confrontation was more than a single moment. It was a microcosm of the balancing act required to sustain a winning culture in professional basketball. The Dream's ability to assert dominance over even his teammates highlighted that his intensity wasn't reserved solely for opponents. Every player, regardless of their talent or status, was expected to meet the same sky-high standards that had propelled Houston to back-to-back NBA titles in the mid-1990s. In the end, the Maxwell-Olajuwon friction serves as a reminder. Leadership in basketball isn't just about scoring points or making highlight plays. It's about setting boundaries, commanding respect, and holding everyone accountable. Even in a team full of stars, the Dream's presence was absolute. Maxwell may have been volatile, but Hakeem's authority, calm, controlled, and decisive, ensured that no one, not even a fiery teammate, could step out of line. At fourth place, we move to Michael Cooper of the Los Angeles Lakers. Cooper, renowned for his defensive genius, didn't mince words. He openly admitted that he hated facing Hakeem Olajuwon early in his career, and honestly, who could blame him? The Dream wasn't just a big man who scored points. He was a cerebral, multifaceted player. His footwork was flawless, his pivot moves nearly impossible to predict, and his defensive timing could swing a game in seconds. For anyone trying to guard him, it wasn't just about strength or speed, it was a mental chess match, and Hakeem rarely lost. Their encounters were electric, particularly during the mid to late 1980s playoff clashes between Cooper's Los Angeles Lakers and Olajuwon's Houston Rockets. Cooper's Lakers were loaded with legends, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and a roster built to dominate the league. But even they struggled to contain the Dream. Hakeem's ability to elevate the Rockets, to take over critical moments, consistently frustrated Cooper and the entire Lakers squad. One game in particular, during the 1984 Western Conference Finals, stands out. In a pivotal matchup, Hakeem delivered a near-perfect performance. 30 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 4 blocks, and only a single turnover. It wasn't just the stats, it was the authority with which he carried his team. Cooper later reflected, "I hate talking about it because we were supposed to kick their ass in that game." Hakeem was on a mission. He literally put that team on his shoulders. That sentiment captures the intensity of these matchups, the mutual respect tinged with frustration, the feeling of being outmaneuvered by one of the era's most versatile stars. For fans, these battles were a thrill to watch. Each game was a showcase of defensive discipline versus offensive artistry, with Cooper trying to impose his will and Hakeem countering with unmatched finesse. The tension on the court was palpable. Every defensive stand by Cooper, every spin, pivot, and block by Olajuwon built a narrative of rivalry and respect entwined with a healthy dose of hatred. Ultimately, the Cooper-Olajuwon matchups cemented Hakeem's reputation as a player who could frustrate even the most disciplined defenders in NBA history. The mutual dislike, the relentless competitiveness, and the high stakes of the playoffs created a rivalry that wasn't just about basketball. It was about pride, legacy, and proving who truly ruled the paint. For Michael Cooper, the Dream wasn't just an opponent. He was a force that evoked both fear and respect in equal measure. Third on the list is Shaquille O'Neal, also known as the Big Aristotle, a man who had never truly faced a challenge like Hakeem Olajuwon until the 1995 NBA Finals. Shaquille O'Neal entered the NBA with the aura of a future superstar. At LSU, he had bulldozed his way through opponents with sheer power, speed, and athleticism. And by the time he landed with the Orlando Magic, the league braced for a new dominant force. Shaq's path seemed unstoppable. He had already made headlines by helping the Magic eliminate Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, sending shockwaves through the basketball world. Fans were buzzing. Analysts were predicting a generational talent in the making. But in the 1995 NBA Finals, Hakeem Olajuwon had other plans. He taught Shaq a lesson. From the opening tip, it was clear that the Rockets' Master Center wasn't just prepared. He was orchestrating a clinic. Hakeem didn't rely on brute strength alone. He combined impeccable footwork, cunning pivots, and defensive acumen to control every aspect of the game. Over the course of the series, he averaged 32.8 points, 11.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 2 blocks per contest, displaying a versatility and precision that left Shaq and the Magic scrambling. Every drive, every spin move, every block was a statement. This was Hakeem Olajuwon's moment, and he was unchallengeable. Shaq, though a physical marvel and an emerging superstar, quickly realized the gap between talent and mastery. The Dream's timing, anticipation, and basketball IQ were on another level. The series became a duel not just of bodies, but of minds. Shaq's raw power against Hakeem's strategic brilliance. Reports suggest that while Shaq developed a grudging respect for Olajuwon, being outplayed on such a grand stage ignited a competitive fire that would follow him throughout his career. Every future encounter between these two titans carried the weight of this first confrontation, a reminder of the Dream's dominance. For fans watching, the series was mesmerizing. Here was a young, unstoppable Shaq meeting a master of the center position, and the result was both thrilling and humbling. Analysts and commentators marveled at Olajuwon's ability to neutralize Shaq's physicality while maintaining control of the game's rhythm. It wasn't just a victory. It was a statement that greatness isn't only about size or strength, it's about skill, intelligence, and relentless focus. While recounting that experience, Shaq said Hakeem taught him the most valuable lesson.
The big guy that taught me the most valuable lesson is Hakeem Olajuwon.
And just when you might think Shaq could shrug off the loss, Hakeem's precision kept the edge sharp, leaving an indelible mark on the big Aristotle's career. This wasn't just a series, it was a lesson in domination, respect, and the kind of professional rivalry that fuels legends. Shaq had met his first true master, and the experience shaped the trajectory of both their legacies. At second place, we have Patrick Ewing, Hakeem's rival from the very beginning. Peter Ewing, when asked about the toughest player he faced, he wasted no time in mentioning Hakeem Olajuwon.
Toughest matchup for you during your NBA career?
Hakeem Olajuwon.
The feud between Hakeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing didn't begin in the NBA. It started on the collegiate stage. Back in 1984, the NCAA championship game saw Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas face off against Olajuwon's Houston Cougars. Ewing's team emerged victorious, and he was crowned the tournament's most outstanding player, a well-deserved honor. Yet, even in triumph, Ewing couldn't ignore Hakeem's brilliance. He had witnessed firsthand the agility, intelligence, and relentless drive that would one day define the Dream's NBA career. That game planted the seeds of a rivalry that would simmer for years, destined to explode on the professional stage. A decade later, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The 1994 NBA Finals pitted Olajuwon's Houston Rockets against Ewing's New York Knicks in a grueling 7-game series. Every game was a chess match between two of the premier centers of the era. Ewing brought his trademark physicality, strength, and consistency, towering over the paint and challenging Hakeem on every possession. But Olajuwon countered with unmatched poise, elegant footwork, and defensive anticipation that allowed him to control both ends of the court. Each possession became a battle of wits and willpower, a testament to the craft of two generational talents. The intensity of the series went beyond statistics. It was a clash of basketball philosophies, Ewing's brute force against Hakeem's finesse and cerebral approach. Fans were treated to nail-biting games where one pivot, one block, or one perfectly timed move could swing momentum entirely. By the end of Game 7, Houston had secured their first championship, and Olajuwon had cemented his status as the ultimate competitor. But victory did not erase the underlying tension. The rivalry carried layers of personal friction, an almost obsessive drive to outplay the other that pushed both athletes to heights neither could reach alone. This wasn't just competition, it was a test of pride, skill, and legacy. The battles with Ewing demanded that Hakeem evolve, refine, and perfect every element of his game. For Olajuwon, Ewing wasn't just an opponent on the scoreboard, he was a measuring stick, a benchmark of greatness, and a target for personal domination. The hatred, the frustration, and the unspoken desire to assert supremacy defined a critical chapter in the Dream's career. Fans and analysts alike still debate the series as one of the most compelling finals matchups of the 1990s. a saga where respect and rivalry collided to create a story that remains etched in basketball history. And finally, at the top of our countdown is David Robinson. It's rare in professional sports for a player to feel a deep, personal sense of betrayal over an award, but in 1995, Hakeem Olajuwon experienced just that. The San Antonio Spurs superstar David Robinson had officially won the NBA Most Valuable Player,
David Robinson, 1995 NBA.
A well-earned accolade for his career year. But for Olajuwon, it felt like a slight, an oversight that ignored his own dominance on the court. The Rockets had finished 6th in the Western Conference that season, and Hakeem had missed 10 games due to injury. For voters, those details tipped the scales, handing Robinson the MVP. But inside Houston's locker room, the reaction was electric, simmering with unspoken outrage. Robert Horry, a teammate and witness to these moments, recounted he was beyond upset, and when he said, "That's my trophy," he came out and pulled out some moves on David Robinson that I've never seen before. It was amazing. This wasn't simple frustration. It was a transformation of disappointment into an almost tangible resolve. Hakeem Olajuwon, already a champion with a Finals MVP and Defensive Player of the Year under his belt, was not accustomed to feeling overlooked. But instead of lashing out verbally, he chose to make a statement the way he knew best, on the court. The Western Conference Finals became a personal battlefield between the two centers, a high-stakes chess match infused with emotion. Over 6 games against San Antonio, Olajuwon averaged a staggering 35.3 points, 12.5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4.2 blocks per game. Every spin, every fadeaway, every pivot move seemed designed not just to win, but to humiliate. Game 2 in San Antonio was a masterclass, with Olajuwon pouring in 41 points, followed by 42 in Game 5, leaving fans and commentators alike mesmerized. By the time Houston closed the series in 6 games, the narrative had shifted. Awards may honor one man, but dominance is proven on the hardwood. David Robinson even said that the loss was the worst moment in his career.
I think that was the worst moment of my pro career.
For observers, the series became a defining showcase of Olajuwon's genius. Analysts, writers, and fans flooded forums and sports commentary with praise, often echoing the now famous sentiment, "You don't solve Hakeem." It wasn't just skill. It was intelligence, patience, and mental fortitude, turning personal slight into professional artistry. Every block, every rebound, every decisive move communicated one message. Respect is earned in the arena, not on paper. This rivalry between Hakeem and Robinson transcended statistics and accolades. It was personal, fiery, and unforgettable. A reminder that even the calmest, most composed stars harbor a competitive fire. In the annals of NBA history, this confrontation isn't merely remembered for the points scored or the stats accumulated. It's remembered for the intensity, the drama, and the undeniable aura of a man determined to prove that no award could capture the full extent of his dominance. For Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson wasn't just an opponent. He was the measure against which greatness would be asserted, a rivalry that would forever define his career. Hakeem Olajuwon's hate list reveals more than simple animosity. It exposes the intensity, passion, and unrelenting drive that made him one of the greatest centers in NBA history. From Kupchak's physical antics to Maxwell's fiery locker room confrontations, from Cooper's defensive battles to Ewing and Robinson's epic showdowns, every rivalry forged the dream into the player and leader he became. These rivalries, steeped in frustration, respect, and competitive fire, are etched into basketball lore. They remind us that greatness is not just talent. It's the fire to rise above, the hunger to dominate, and sometimes the people you love to hate along the way. So, which of these rivalries do you think defined Hakeem the most? Was it the personal fury against David Robinson, the grudge with Patrick Ewing, or the internal battles with Vernon Maxwell? Drop your thoughts below, because this is just the tip of the iceberg in the story of the dream. And stick around, because when it comes to the NBA's greatest battles, the next chapter always promises more.